Hello and welcome to the Top Order podcast, day 3 of the Cricket World Cup, and we've got 2 games in store for you today. Big contrasting games, one with a huge score, one with a very low score, and we'll be coming up right after the swish. Although now that we're on video, there's no swish, Raj, so we may as well just get straight into it. We've got Afghanistan versus Bangladesh in the first game, and then South Africa versus Sri Lanka in the second game. Where do you want to start? I mean, potentially the most exciting game was the back end absolute run fest that we saw. I don't even know where the venues are. I was going to say where it was, but I don't.
Delhi.
It's Delhi. Okay,
Yep.
good. At least someone's paying attention. The game's sort of all over the place. Starting to get a bit frazzled with all the sleep patterns here and over in New Zealand. But what are your first thoughts when you see the score this morning and South Africa piling on 428, 26?
Yeah, no, my first thought is who would want to be a bowler in this day and age? I mean, it was 754 runs, highest match aggregate for World Cups. I watched a short highlights package, about 4 or 5 minutes just before we recorded this. It just looked entertaining to watch, really, really good. South Africa came, I think you're going to mention it, they started a bit slowly or run a ball and then they just accelerated towards the end. Great to watch, great batting from Markram in particular towards the end, and some of those lower order hitters like David Miller, even Janssen got in on the act towards the end. But then Sri Lanka came out and scored just as quickly, and you know, if there is a team that's going to fail to defend 428, it's probably South Africa. They have form for that. Great game. What did you make of it? Did you see any of it?
Well, I was going to say, do you want to dial back? You made some comments yesterday about the run rate and that we can't take too much of what's going on at the moment because this isn't what we're going to see during the rest of or later parts of the World Cup. Are we still feeling confident about that after we've seen 750 on the board?
Look, I'll concede it if another team goes out and scores over 400. I'll say, look, maybe I was wrong. Maybe this is the 400 World Cup. We finally got it 4 years later. But yeah, I think this could be a one-off. But there's a hell of a lot of runs. What did you make of it?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, as you say, South Africa they started off 48 for 1 off their 10. I think they were going at about, or they sort of ramped it up to about 6 and over by the 20 over mark. They're 118 for 1. And then they scored 310 off the final 30 overs, 156 off the final 11. I mean, I think probably what it's shown me, and even looking back to the first couple of games that we've seen, you've got to take wickets. If you're not taking wickets in this World Cup, the quality of batters and the way that they're able to accelerate, not even just from like the last 10, it's now people get to the 30 over mark and go, okay, we've got 20, like we're very, very used to playing a 20 over game. Yeah. We can just, we know we can get 180 off 20 here. So, you've really got to take wickets. And if you're not doing that, then things are going to get really, really messy for you.
And the other thing is that the conditions aren't foreign to them either. They can turn up. They know what they're gonna find in India. They know if they can get to that 30 over mark with wickets in hand, they can just accelerate towards the end. And interestingly now, I do want to go on to whether I believe in South Africa. I know you are a big believer in them. This is not a one-off. They did this against Australia. So look, maybe there needs to be a little bit of belief from Raj and the rest of the world in South Africa. But not a one-off.
Well, I think this is the 4th time in a row now they've scored over 300. We was talking in our preview show about, their sort of up and down series against Australia and the T20s and the ODIs. They started to come good right at the end, and we were sort of going, okay, is this the real South Africa? Which one should we expect? And I mean, I think I said it in the preview show. You look through that batting line, it's just star-studded, and you think all of those guys have played lots of IPL. They've played, franchise leagues all around the world. They're very adept at scoring quickly and scoring big scores. And I don't know. I think because of the way that because Pakistan is now not the dark horse, like people actually, I think they were at one point before the start of the tournament the number 1 ranked ODI side in the world. So people can't pick them as the dark horse. So I think everyone has been picking South Africa. They've been going, oh, okay, well, we got the top 3, big 3 sides. We got Pakistan in there. We got New Zealand, who were always kind of in the mix, who's our dark horse, and everyone they've been the popular pick for dark horse, but I don't know that anyone's quite been convinced. But this is certainly going to help.
And I'm still not convinced. I guess I look at this game. If you take the manner out of which they've won, and they scored a lot of runs, but so did Sri Lanka, right? All they've essentially done is beat Sri Lanka, which we expected them to do. They've got Australia next in their second game, and then England in their fourth game. I think around that time, you can sort of make a judgment on how we think, or how I think they're going to go for the rest of the tournament. They have a block there. I think they're 6th, 7th, and 8th, or maybe they're 7th, 8th, 9th, where they're playing Pakistan, New Zealand, India, which is really going to decide their tournament and how they're going to go through. With New Zealand, the manner of New Zealand's win against England, it puts a lot more pressure for that fourth spot, possibly, based on what we're predicting from a results perspective. So yeah, I still need to see a bit more from them from Australia and England, and then we'll make a decision. And look, granted, they've played well. They've played well for the last sort of 4 or 5 matches that they've played, but I need to see it sustained. The one-off stuff is not going to work in a 9-game round robin or whatever it is. So
yeah, I think that's fair. And I think I guess if we're going to be fair, Sri Lanka missing Hasaranga, he's out for this tournament. Theekshana still missed this game because of a hamstring injury that they're hoping he's going to be back pretty soon. And then, yeah, as you say, that Sri Lanka came out and dished up some damage themselves. Kusal Mendes, some absolutely remarkable shots in his 76 off 40 odd balls. They lost wickets along the way, but still managed to get 330. So, yeah, sort of going back to what we said before, these teams can just pile on these runs very, very quickly. And, yeah, I mean, I think South Africa, yeah, as you say, bigger tests to come, and potentially that bowling is going to be tested at different points because, yeah, even in this Australia series that we've seen, there's been some challenges for that bowling attack.
Yeah, and when do you start to sort of, I guess ringing the alarm bells is not the right way to put it, but are a bit worried that you've got like the likes of Marco Jansen going for 9 and over, you've got Ngidi, Rabada all going at 6 and over, and Aiden Markram, those guys didn't even bowl this time, they just went with the 5 bowlers. Is that a concern? I know it was a smaller ground and an absolute road. Yeah, I mean, is that a concern for you?
Well, not really. Not until it starts to cost them, I guess, is my thoughts. A game like this, you turn up as long when they're picking up wickets. I like even Kusal Mendes is smashing it. They're 87 for 2 off 9, I think it was at one point, Sri Lanka, but they're never really in doubt. Like there was never really in doubt of losing that game. And yeah, you're going to go the distance when you're a bowler. I think, as you said, you're sort of. It's not a good time to be a bowler on pitches like this, and yeah, you could see right from the start. Even like Patirana, Rajitha, the Sri Lankan seamers really went big at different points. So yeah, I'm not too concerned. These pitches that we've seen for the most part have been very, very flat. And I do think I actually think that'll continue for a little while. As you say, we might start to see some spin later, but I think the first half of this tournament I would expect is probably going to be pretty flat. And yeah, if bowlers can be going at 6s, I think that's actually a decent result for most of the players as we go through. Anything else you want to add on this game before we move to the second game?
No, nothing from me. I am going to go through and watch probably see if I can watch the last 2 hours of South Africa's batting. With the Sky Sports Now we've got, so hopefully I can do that. It looks really entertaining.
Oh yeah, it's just an absolute boundary fest. Segueing to the other game, which was not a boundary fest, but sort of had the potential at various points to for Afghanistan to put up a score. They're batting first, 83 for 1 off 15 overs. Gurbaz is going well. They're looking very strong. And Shakib comes on, Mehidy, Hasan comes on, and then just put the squeeze on, and suddenly Afghanistan collapse. And the run fest stopped very, very quickly.
Yeah, that's a great line. Got to get a short of that. The first 10 overs of that Afghanistan batting innings was actually some of the best attacking execution you'll see. Some of the shots they were playing were incredible, and I actually thought that there might have been a little bit of a game made out of this. It was disappointing to see them not go on. But as you said, Shakib, the difference maker. When I did the preview of Bangladesh, I said that Shakib needed to sort of have an average with the ball under 20 and an average with the bat over 50 for Bangladesh to really have a chance this tournament to cause some upsets. And he pulled the Afghani start back. Great support from Mr. Fizzer as well. He bowled really well.
Yep.
And then you had Tuscan and Sharaful coming back in their second innings. Second spell to make that to really ram home the advantage and stop them from going to a really big score, which they looked like they were going as well. The chase from Bangladesh was unimpressive. Their wickets or chances coming at regular intervals. I think Afghanistan will be really disappointed by their fielding. They did some great things. There was one really good catch I remember, one-handed at mid-off, and there was a great run out for the first wicket. But they could have put a lot more pressure on the Bangladeshis if they had sorted that fielding. But Bangladesh earned the right to chase down a small target, I guess, in the fashion that they had, the more pedestrian fashion, because of how well they bowled. But look, I know we've had problems with people attending the games, and this kind of game's not going to bring the fans back very quickly, but luckily we had another one that was very exciting.
Yeah. And I mean, look, we got a bit of stick in that on our YouTube comments for our comments about Bangladesh. I think probably me in particular for saying that, I find them, not an especially exciting side. We had a few comments sort of about some of the young players that they've got, and players like Tuscan and Shanto, and who aren't like super young, and people like Hirdoi. There is some talent there. I guess for me, and this is going to sound quite bad, but Shakib. I think it's mainly Shakib. I just find him so hard to support he's a wonderful, wonderful cricketer, and he showed it today. As you say, as soon as he sort of came on, he was able to squeeze, stop the runs. Mehidy Hasan did the same thing, and suddenly Afghanistan found it really hard to score. And as we said, people are used to scoring quickly now. You don't get tied down in white ball cricket anymore. So they tied them down. And Shakib, his control. I mean, you even just look back at the last World Cup. His last World Cup, his numbers were phenomenal. So, he's going to perform. I think he's the number one ranked all rounder in the game. I think they called him at one point the number one player in the game. I'm not sure that that's quite correct, but even still, I just find him hard to support as a neutral. We've just seen the stuff with Tamim, so I think that's probably where my bias towards Bangladesh comes from, and I think we've seen them here a lot in New Zealand, and often when they come here in New Zealand, it's I don't know, late in the summer or at a tricky time, and I guess they did beat us in a test a couple of years ago, but they've sort of felt like easy beats here in New Zealand, and not an exciting side to watch. So I guess where that's where all of that's coming from, but. If they can put performances like that out there today, they are going to prove difficult. And New Zealand's got them in a couple of games. So that's a game that I'm certainly looking at with the comments that I've made, going, oh, well, let's hope New Zealand can do the job then.
Yeah, and maybe rightly you did get that stick, Stu. They do have some exciting players to watch. Shanto actually has had a really good year. I did go back through his last sort of 12, 18 months. It's actually been pretty good, but I don't have those numbers in front of me. So, look, they are a banana skin. They're in conditions which are probably favourable towards them, especially as the tournament goes on. Definitely a banana skin, and if they keep winning games, who knows? Who knows, Stu?
I think you're right about Shanto, though. Yeah, he's looked really good. This was quite a composed innings from him. He scored runs against New Zealand in the series against the little series we had against Bangladesh over there, and looked more positive. But today, obviously, didn't need to. Just kind of batted with Mehidy, and as you say, they were. I think Afghanistan or Bangladesh was 27 for 2. Mehidy Hasan hits one to point at 38 on 38. They could have been 38 for 3. It was he hit it hard, but it's a catch you very much expect to be taken at this level. And yeah, I think as we sort of talked about yesterday, the scorecard now looks very, very comfortable win for Bangladesh. But yeah, things could have been getting pretty dicey there at various points in the game. And yeah, you probably want to. I think Afghanistan. We talked again about them in the preview. What struck me is that, and again, it's really hard when you've got a low total on the board for spinners to try and defend. But you look at the way Bangladesh's spinners operated; they really squeezed. Mujib and Rashid were just unable to do that for Afghanistan, and that Bangladesh was able to just work them away, not even actually defend them. We often talk about how Rashid gets blocked, but they were able to score off Rashid pretty comfortably in the end and pick up runs against him. And yeah, the tale of the two spin attacks, I guess, told a big story in that Shakib and Mehidy picked up 6, and Mujib and Rashid really struggled to break through.
Yeah, and I think that, well, we say they struggled to break through, but there were chances. There were chances there with the Afghanistani attack in their bowling innings, but wasn't to be, and we move on.
We move on, and tomorrow I think I saw a pretty bad headline, I think, from I think it was from Cricinfo saying or previewing tomorrow's game between India and Australia, saying the World Cup is about to begin, or something to that effect. But I guess it probably is in terms of we've talked a bit about crowds. We probably expect to see a giant crowd for that game tomorrow. Shubman Gill in doubt with dengue fever. I noted before that it doesn't look like he's been completely ruled out. I haven't had dengue fever, but I don't think it's very fun. So if he's able to play, that would be quite some performance to get on the park. And with their depth of batting, I would be surprised if they sort of not risk him necessarily, but I'm surprised if they kind of need him to push through at this point in the tournament. But yeah, any quick thoughts on what we're looking forward to in that game?
No, I think it's going to be a really exciting game. It's going to set the tone, I think, for both sides. The manner in which the win or defeat, whoever wins or loses, comes in. As you said, if they leave Shubman Gill out, they're only going to be able to replace him with Surya Kumar Yadav, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But what an embarrassment of riches they've got to be able to bring someone like that in. Look, India, I'm looking at their probable lineup, and they're just such a good team. They're such a good team. I'm expecting them to really turn the screws tomorrow, and it'll be interesting to see how Australia attack that back. What are you looking forward to? Any standouts for you? Anything you're looking for that game tonight?
I think it's just how India turn up is the exciting thing for me, and then probably on the other side of things, how Australia goes, because I think I've sort of just expect them to do well in these tournaments, but kind of as the days have been going on, there's been a lot of talk around maybe Australia's not as strong as they might seem, and I sort of tend to not believe that. We've heard that in T20 World Cup when they went out and won it, and all these other kind of tournaments where you think Australia is not that strong, and then they come out and kind of pull everything together for a tournament. So, yeah, which Australia, or is this Australia side just a lock for the semi-finals? Which I think we certainly thought so. Well, most of us did, and I sort of always pencil them in as a semi-final spot. So yeah, I think it'll be telling, but probably in the same way as we talked about with England, New Zealand, it's probably two good sides about to play each other, and someone's probably going to end this game on a big high, and someone's going to end it going, okay, well, are there concerns out of this? But realistically, there's a long tournament and a lot of games to go.
Yeah, no, it will be a great fixture, I think.
Cool. Well, let's end it there for today. We only a couple of us here on the podcast as we do these daily updates. It might be a different crew tomorrow. I'm sure Baldy will be back for the Australia game. But for tonight, for this morning, it's been a pleasure jumping on and talking about two very contrasting games on day 3 of this Men's ODI World Cup, and we'll see you again very, very soon.